So Bethesda have changed their review copy policy for all future Bethesda titles. Now Bethesda announced this via a blog post on their website, and I'll link that down below in the description if you want to go have a read for yourself. But basically in a nutshell, and what it boils down to, is that going forward in the future with all future Bethesda titles, media outlets and review outlets will no longer be receiving, say, a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance review copies of Bethesda games. And as stated in the blog post, all media outlets and review outlets will receive a review copy 24 hours prior to the game's launch. As you can imagine, this has opened quite the can of worms for you, myself, review outlets, media outlets. And basically what it boils down to is that 24 hours before the release of a game is not enough time to thoroughly review a game. Unless you're superhuman, it's not going to happen. I'm not saying we won't see rushed opinions and reviews. Sure, that'll probably most definitely be the case, which still could be a good indicator as to the quality of the game. The bigger issue here is that in the past, majority of the time, yes, there's been a few examples here and there, such as Doom, which basically didn't have review copies sent out. It does happen, and look, Doom still did end up being a fantastic game, so late review copies isn't necessarily an indication of a poor product. But in the past, review sites and media outlets generally get plenty of time to review the game and put the review out there and put their opinion out there and inform you and I, the consumer, as to the quality of the product. And as of now, Bethesda's basically tied media outlets and review outlets' hands. They've basically tied them behind their back because 24 hours, in my opinion, isn't enough time to put out a thorough review. And basically, as of now, going forward, we're going to be flying blind with Bethesda titles. If you want to pick up that game day one, you're going to have to take a punt and a bit of a gamble. Now, before we jump into the second half, let me make it 100% abundantly clear that I'm not defending Bethesda's actions, nor am I a marketing expert. But my opinion on the matter is this. With all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that Bethesda must spend on marketing and building hype for their games, that they don't want necessarily negative reviews or poor reviews, but maybe just kind of average scores or high to average scores deflating the hype. They want the hype to carry on all the way through to release because they know when it comes to video games, and much like other mediums like movies and television, people make a decision based on reviews. Let's say Fallout 4, for example, maybe only scored on IGN scale an 8. A lot of people would have been going, oh damn, the trailers look absolutely stunning, it looks amazing, I'm super hyped to pick up this game. And then on IGN's review score, a week out from release, they see the score of 8, which by no means 8 out of 10 is not a bad score at all. And on IGN scale, I believe it's actually a really good score. But maybe based on all the trailers and hype that had been building up for months or even a year in advance to the game's release, maybe that particular buyer, his hype's slightly been deflated. And if he hasn't pre-ordered the game, maybe he isn't that keen to pick it up anymore. Or maybe he's going to wait for it to hit a bargain bin. And I think that in a nutshell is what Bethesda's trying to get at with this. They don't want their hype and positive feelings for the game being deflated by maybe not bad review scores, but certainly not 10 out of 10s. They want to roll with the hype all the way through to release, which makes sense from their end. It makes sense from a business end that you'd want to do this. But at the same time, it's still not necessarily good for the consumer. Even if it is Bethesda, even if we know Bethesda do deliver quality products generally time after time after time again. What really kind of stresses me out and worries me is that Bethesda could have potentially opened the can of worms on this one. Just as an example, what happens if we see EA or Ubisoft adopt a very similar policy with no early review copies? While these guys generally a lot of the time deliver really fun, exciting, positive, polished products, they haven't necessarily in the past had a clean track record. Perfect example from EA would be Battlefield 3 and 4. Both the online aspects of those games were very rough and rocky at the launch of the game, and even a month or two after the launch of the game. Perfect example for Ubisoft would be one of the Assassin's Creed games, and off the top of my head I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of their more recent Assassin's Creed games. And basically at day one, at launch, it had issues, it had bugs, it had frame rate issues, it pretty much performed like a steaming piece of crap. So what happens if these publishers adopt the same policy, these guys that don't have squeaky clean track records? What's to stop them just pushing more crap out the door because they know they're not doing early review codes? Are we going to be seeing EA and Ubisoft riding the hype train all the way to the bank with our hard-earned money? Like No Man's Sky, another perfect example. Now, I'm not saying this is definitely going to be the case. I'm not saying that we will see other publishers such as Ubisoft and EA adopt the same policy as Bethesda. But to wrap up the video, and I guess put it all in a nutshell for you guys, is that my biggest fear is that we're going to see other publishers adopt the same policy, and they're going to spend months and years building these huge hype trains for these games that on the surface look like extremely fun, well-polished games, but at release, at day one, we pick up the game and we haven't had a chance to get a review, and the game just didn't pan out to be what was promised. This doesn't fall solely on the publishers either. It's up to us as buyers and consumers to make sure we're making the informed decision. If it means we have to wait a few days after the release of the game, then that's what we have to do. Because we can't be running out to the shops just to slap down our hard-earned cash on games that haven't been reviewed yet. You just can't do that in this day and age. There's too many broken, unfinished games releasing, and you have to make an informed decision. Alright guys, please remember to leave your opinions down below in the comments and let me know, is there anything else that you're concerned about with this whole review policy change from Bethesda? Have I missed anything? Have I skimmed over anything? Is there anything else you're concerned about? And let me know what you think about other publishers maybe adopting this policy. Does it worry you? And as always guys, please remember to rate, comment and subscribe. And today I want to do something a little bit different. If you didn't know, I'm on Twitter, and rather than asking you guys for a follow, I've decided let me follow you. So drop your Twitters down below in the comments and I'll give you a follow. And if you want to reciprocate the follow, then awesome. But at the end of the day, it's all about me just staying in touch with you guys and seeing what's going on. As always guys, my name's Sally, this is One Guy's Opinion, and we're going to talk in the next video.